Divine alignment, understanding your true calling today. My beloved child, today is not random, and neither is the restlessness you've been feeling. Something inside you has been quietly rearranging itself, and that's why familiar paths suddenly feel uncomfortable. You may not be able to explain it yet, but your old motivations don't hit the same anymore. What once excited you now feels hollow. What once scared you now feels necessary. This is the first sign of divine alignment. Not clarity, but discomfort with misalignment. Most people ignore this phase and distract themselves back into comfort. You didn't. And that's why your life feels like it's standing at the edge of something unnamed. Don't skip, because the reason you're feeling this shift explains why your true calling can't be delayed any longer. Here's the shocking truth most people never hear: your calling doesn't arrive when life is calm, it arrives when who you are no longer matches where you are. That inner tension isn't confusion, it's direction forming. You were never meant to blend in with routines that drain you or roles that shrink you. That's why resistance showed up. That's why certain doors closed without explanation. Divine alignment doesn't guide you gently at first, it disrupts you. It pulls you away from what's familiar before it shows you what's real. This is why your path felt lonely. This is why validation faded. Your calling requires independence of thought before expansion of influence. And that independence is built in silence, not applause. Stay till the end, because once you see this clearly, you'll stop questioning why life pushed you out of places you tried to stay in. What's happening now is not a breakthrough, it's a recalibration. Your instincts are sharpening. Your tolerance for meaningless effort is disappearing. You're being positioned to recognize what truly belongs to you when it appears. Something huge is waiting for you, not as a dramatic event, but as alignment between who you are and what you're meant to do. Divine alignment doesn't shout. It settles. And when it does, your true calling won't feel forced or overwhelming. It will feel familiar, like something you've been preparing for without knowing its name. This is why today matters. Not because everything changes today, but because you are finally ready to notice what's been calling you all along. There's a reason your attention has become sharper lately, like you're suddenly aware of what matters and what's just noise. You're no longer satisfied with surface-level goals or borrowed dreams. That's because divine alignment doesn't ask for more effort, it demands more honesty. Life has been quietly pulling you away from things that don't match your core, even if they once felt important. And that pulling away felt uncomfortable, even painful, because misalignment always resists being released. Don't skip, because this discomfort is not a setback, it's a signal that your true calling is getting closer, not farther. Here's the surprising truth most people never realize in time: your calling is revealed only after distraction loses its grip on you. That's why opportunities that looked impressive stopped exciting you. That's why chasing validation started to feel exhausting. Divine alignment strips away false urgency so real purpose can surface. You weren't meant to do everything, you were meant to do the right thing. And before that becomes clear, life tests your discernment. It asks, can you walk away from what looks good but feels wrong? Can you wait without panicking? Can you trust inner clarity over external pressure? Stay till the end, because this phase determines whether your calling becomes a burden, or a blessing. Now pause for a moment. If this message is hitting something deep inside you, don't keep it locked there. Share it with someone who feels stuck but can't explain why. Drop a comment, not for attention, but to anchor this awareness in your mind. And subscribe, because what you're stepping into isn't motivation, it's direction. Something huge is waiting for you, but it only reveals itself when you stop chasing and start aligning. Your true calling isn't hiding from you. It's waiting for you to become quiet enough, clear enough, and honest enough to recognize it when it finally steps into view. Notice how your sense of direction no longer comes from excitement, but from resonance. You're not pulled by hype anymore. You're pulled by what feels right, even if it scares you a little. That's not confusion, that's alignment taking shape. When your true calling starts approaching, it doesn't arrive as a loud invitation. It arrives as a quiet intolerance for anything false. Suddenly, you can't ignore the feeling that some paths are too small for you, even if they're safe. Some roles feel heavy, even if they're respected. This is where most people retreat back into comfort. You didn't. You stayed with the discomfort long enough to hear what it was trying to tell you. Don't skip, because this is the phase where alignment stops being emotional and starts becoming intentional. Here's the revelation that changes everything: your calling isn't something you find, it's something you clear space for. Life has been removing distractions so your focus can sharpen. Not because you failed at those things, but because they were never meant to hold your full weight. That's why your energy changed. That's why doing too much started to feel wrong. You're being refined for depth, not spread thin for activity. Divine alignment simplifies before it expands. It narrows your vision so your impact can widen later. And this is the part people misunderstand: clarity often feels like loss before it feels like purpose. You're not losing options. You're losing confusion. Stay till the end, because once this sinks in, you'll stop fearing what you're walking away from and start trusting what you're being drawn toward. What's forming now is a sense of inevitability, not pressure, not urgency, but knowing. You don't need every detail anymore. You just need alignment between who you are and what you commit to. Something huge is waiting for you, but it won't reveal itself through force or desperation. It reveals itself when your inner direction becomes stronger than external noise. This is how divine alignment works. It doesn't rush you into your calling. It positions you so when you step into it, you don't fracture under its weight. And right now, even if you can't name it yet, you're closer than you've ever been. Not because you've done more, but because you've become more precise about what truly belongs to you. There's a quiet checkpoint you reach before everything aligns, and it's happening now. You're no longer asking for signs every 5 minutes. You're watching patterns instead. You're noticing what drains you instantly and what gives you calm energy without effort. That's not overthinking, that's alignment sharpening. When your true calling gets close, life slows your reactions and heightens your perception. You don't move fast anymore, you move accurate. This is where many people get restless and ruin the process by forcing decisions. You didn't. You waited long enough to feel the difference between excitement and truth. Don't skip, because this moment explains why your next move must be intentional, not emotional. Here's the revelation most people miss. Divine alignment tests discipline before it delivers direction. Before life trusts you with your calling, it checks whether you can protect it. Can you say no to distractions that look good but feel wrong? Can you stay patient when progress is invisible? Can you hold your vision without external validation? That's why clarity didn't come all at once. That's why answers arrived slowly. You weren't being delayed, you were being verified. And now, something has shifted. What used to confuse you now feels obvious. What used to tempt you now feels empty. Stay till the end, because once you understand this, you stop chasing clarity and start walking in it. If this message resonates, don't keep it locked inside. Share it with someone who feels called toward more but can't explain why. Leave a comment, not for approval, but to anchor this awareness into your mind. And subscribe, because what you're stepping into isn't motivation, it's alignment. Something huge is waiting for you, not in the future, but in the version of you that can finally recognize their true calling without fear, rush, or doubt. This is divine alignment, not a sudden miracle, but a moment where who you are and what you're meant to do finally begin to meet. Something has quietly changed in the way you listen to yourself. You no longer confuse pressure with purpose, or movement with meaning. There's a deeper signal guiding you now, subtle, steady, undeniable. This is what divine alignment feels like before it becomes visible. Not excitement. Not urgency. But a grounded certainty that pulls you away from what's almost right and toward what's exact. You've noticed it in how your patience has grown, how your tolerance for shallow effort has disappeared, how your instincts speak faster than your doubts. This isn't you becoming distant from life. This is you moving closer to your true calling without announcing it to the world. Here's the truth most people never realize until it's too late: alignment demands subtraction before it allows expansion. That's why your path narrowed. That's why your circle changed. That's why some ambitions faded without drama. You weren't losing direction, you were losing distortion. Divine alignment doesn't add more to your life at first, it removes what doesn't belong so your focus can sharpen. And this is where many people panic, because clarity can feel lonely before it feels powerful. But you stayed present. You didn't rush back to noise. You trusted the silence long enough for meaning to rise. Stay till the end, because this is the phase where your calling stops being a question and starts becoming a commitment. Now listen closely. Your calling isn't coming to rescue you from life, it's coming to use everything you've lived through. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Every delay trained discernment. Every setback refined direction. Something huge is waiting for you, not as a dramatic reveal, but as alignment between your strength and your purpose. When it steps fully into your life, it won't feel unfamiliar. It will feel earned. And in that moment, you'll understand why your journey demanded clarity before comfort, and alignment before action. This is where divine alignment stops being a concept, and becomes the way you move forward from here. There is a quiet certainty forming in you now, the kind that doesn't need applause or permission. You feel it when you pause before speaking, when you choose restraint over reaction, when your decisions feel calm instead of rushed. This is not hesitation. This is alignment settling into your nervous system. Your true calling doesn't demand chaos to announce itself. It arrives when your inner world becomes steady enough to carry responsibility without breaking focus. You've been shaped to move with intention, not impulse. That's why loud opportunities lost their grip on you. That's why urgency no longer controls your choices. Don't skip, because this is the moment where alignment turns into direction. Here's the revelation that changes how you see everything. Your calling doesn't ask you to become someone new, it asks you to trust who you already are. The discipline you built, the patience you earned, the clarity you fought for. All of it was preparation for precision. Divine alignment works quietly because noise attracts the wrong commitments. You were trained to recognize what fits before it fully appears. That's why your intuition feels stronger than motivation now. Motivation fades. Alignment stays. And this is why your journey demanded inner order before outer movement. Stay till the end, because once you understand this, you stop forcing your path and start walking it naturally. What's next won't require you to explain yourself or rush your steps. Something huge is waiting for you, but it's waiting for steadiness, not speed. When it shows up, it won't pull you forward emotionally, it will meet you exactly where you are. You'll know it by the absence of doubt, by the calm confidence that says, "This is mine to carry." This is divine alignment in action. Not dramatic. Not chaotic. Just exact. And from this point forward, every step you take will feel less like searching. And more like remembering who you were always meant to be. There's a moment when the search ends without you even realizing it. Not because you found every answer, but because you stopped needing them. You've noticed it, the way urgency dissolved, the way comparison lost its grip, the way your focus narrowed instead of scattered. That's not comfort. That's clarity. Divine alignment reaches this point only after distraction has been fully drained out of you. This is why your path demanded patience before progress. You weren't being slowed down. You were being centered. Don't skip, because this is the exact stage where people misunderstand calm for stagnation and walk away just before alignment locks in. Here's the once-in-a-lifetime truth most never realize: your calling reveals itself when you stop chasing outcomes and start protecting your inner order. Chaos can't coexist with purpose. That's why life forced you to refine your boundaries, your standards, your pace. You were trained to choose depth over attention, precision over speed. While others moved fast and lost themselves, you learned how to stay intact under pressure. This is not delay, this is insulation. Your calling isn't meant to burn you out. It's meant to use you wisely. Stay till the end, because this is where you understand why everything had to happen in this order. What's approaching now doesn't need hype or force. Something huge is waiting for you, but it responds only to stability, not desperation. When it finally becomes undeniable, you won't feel overwhelmed. You'll feel ready. Ready because your alignment is no longer external, it's internal. From this point forward, your life won't feel like a search. It will feel like a direction you can finally walk without second-guessing yourself. And that's how you'll know. You're no longer preparing for your calling. You're already standing inside it. There's a quiet confidence settling into you now, and it doesn't ask to be seen. You feel it in the way you move slower but decide faster. In the way silence feels informative instead of empty. This is what happens when alignment matures. You stop reacting to life and start responding from clarity. The confusion that once followed you has thinned out. In its place is a steady inner signal that doesn't shout, but never disappears. This is the phase where your calling stops feeling distant and starts feeling personal. Not dramatic. Not overwhelming. Just undeniably yours. Here's the realization that changes how everything fits together. Your true calling doesn't compete for your attention, it commands it quietly. That's why distractions lost their appeal. That's why multitasking began to feel wrong. You weren't becoming limited. You were becoming focused. Divine alignment narrows the path so your energy stops leaking in all directions. This is where purpose becomes practical. Where intention replaces effort. Where you no longer ask, is this right? Because your body, mind, and instincts answer together. This is what preparation looks like when it's almost complete. What comes next won't feel like pressure. It will feel like permission. Permission to move forward without doubt, without forcing, without explaining yourself. Something huge is waiting for you, but it doesn't rush in. It arrives when steadiness becomes your default state. And now, you're there. Your life isn't about searching anymore. It's about choosing. Choosing what aligns. Choosing what lasts. Choosing what reflects the clarity you fought to earn. This is divine alignment in its truest form. Not a moment of excitement, but a state you're finally ready to live from. There's a deep stillness inside you now, and it isn't emptiness, it's alignment holding steady. You're no longer trying to rush clarity or chase meaning. You've learned how to stand where you are without anxiety pulling you apart. That's not resignation. That's readiness. When divine alignment reaches this point, life stops feeling like resistance and starts feeling like cooperation. You notice it in how decisions require less emotional effort. In how your instincts no longer argue with your logic. This is the place where your true calling stops feeling distant and starts feeling inevitable. Don't skip, because this final understanding explains why everything ahead will feel stable instead of chaotic. Here's the truth most people never get to experience: your calling doesn't reveal itself through struggle anymore, it reveals itself through calm clarity. Earlier versions of you needed friction to grow. This version needs alignment to move. That's why life demanded patience before permission, depth before direction. You were being shaped to carry responsibility without losing balance. And now, that preparation shows. What once felt heavy now feels manageable. What once felt uncertain now feels structured. Stay till the end, because once you understand this, you stop fearing what's next and start trusting how naturally it will arrive. This is the moment where everything integrates. Not with noise. Not with dramatic signs. But with certainty. Something huge is waiting for you, not as a breakthrough you have to chase, but as a calling that meets you where you stand. When it fully enters your life, you won't question it. You won't rush it. You'll move forward knowing your journey didn't delay you, it aligned you. And that's the difference between those who search endlessly and those who finally step into what they were always meant to do. There's a final shift that happens when alignment becomes irreversible. You stop asking life to confirm your direction. You don't need constant reassurance anymore. You don't look outward for permission to move. The clarity you were waiting for didn't arrive as information, it arrived as stability. You trust your pace. You trust your instincts. You trust your restraint. That's when divine alignment locks in. Not when everything is visible, but when doubt loses its authority over you. Don't skip, because this is the moment where most people think nothing is happening, while in reality everything is already decided. Here's the once-in-a-lifetime truth that completes the picture: your true calling was never meant to be chased, it was meant to be matched. Life delayed outcomes until your inner order could sustain them. That's why your discipline formed before direction. That's why patience came before permission. You weren't being prepared to arrive fast, you were being prepared to stay. Most people can reach a calling. Very few can hold it without losing themselves. That's why your journey demanded more self-control, more awareness, more inner structure. Stay till the end, because when this clicks, you realize your struggle wasn't resistance, it was alignment under construction. Now everything ahead moves differently. Quieter. Cleaner. More intentional. Something huge is waiting for you, not as a dramatic turning point, but as confirmation that you're finally positioned to walk your path without force or fear. You won't rush. You won't hesitate. You'll recognize it the moment it appears, because it will feel like an extension of who you already are. This is divine alignment fulfilled. Not a moment you're hoping for, but a state you're ready to live from.